Hey, what is up, YouTube? It's been a little bit, but I am filming a video, today. I'm back, hopefully for a while now. But I am filming a video, basically, I'm gonna be filming a review. I don't have any notes, so I'm, it may not be perfect, but I'm gonna try and stay on target. But it's a review for Blackwidow, so spoilers ahead. Just so I don't spoil the movie or anything. It's been out for like 2 weeks now, so you should have had time to see it. But just in case, I'm filming a review about it. So if you don't want to watch it, don't want to get spoiled, just click off. Come back when you see the movie. I'll give you a sec to click off. Okay. It's been a sec. Alright. So, I'm going to talk first about the good. Stuff that I liked. For one, Blackwidow and her family. I thought that was a good storyline for the most part. I liked the actors and actresses. Obviously, the best, in my opinion, or most interesting, was David Harbour as the Red Guardian and Scarlett Johansson. And I liked Florence Pugh as Yelena, is it? Or Elena, something like that, as Blackwidow's new version. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought she did a good job with what she had. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie on that part. I liked the main 4 cast members. I liked I liked the action. I thought the action was pretty good. Very decent action. The Marvel movies usually have okay action, so I'm not surprised. And this one wasn't a huge CGI one, so it's more based on actors' action and stuff. That being said, there's obviously CGI in the movie. It's a Marvel movie. So if you don't like all the CGI stuff, may not be for you on the action. But I thought it was good. I thought, for the most part, I thought the main storyline was good. I am kind of disappointed. I feel like it is a little light on the storyline, so that pushes it down a notch. But for the most part, I thought it was good. I liked the main cast members and the main storyline. Thought there were interesting parts in it. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the good. Comedy was decent. Like, obviously, it's a Marvel movie, so there's always going to be comedy. I thought this is probably one of the Marvel movies I laughed out loud more in, or found funny. And that's mainly because of the new Black Widow, Yelena, I think is, or Elena, something like that. I think Florence Pugh as that did really good with the comedy. And David Harbour as the Red Guardian, I think he did a great job also with the comedy. I liked the mother too, just so you know. Not talking about the mother because I wasn't super impressed with her storyline. I feel like she was the weakest between the family, between the 4, because David Harbour, he's funny, he's a great actor. Florence Pugh, they obviously needed to make sure she was really good as the new Black Widow, because she's taking over the role. And then Scarlett Johansson, this is like her last movie. Obviously, you're going to want her doing a great job, too. So, I thought those were good. I liked the end credit scene. I'm going to talk about that last. So if anyone's worried about that, you can skip to the end on that. You can skip the end there. But I did think that was good. There's an end credit scene, so stay till the end of the movie. It's Marvel. So obviously stay till the end. But for the most part, I thought was pretty decent on that. Alright, so now in the back. Number one bad thing, the villains. I did not like the villains. And this is my biggest problem with the movie. I, for one, hated Draco, the villain Draco. I felt like he was just, in a world where we have so many good villains now, like, for instance, Loki. Possibly one of Marvel's best villains they've ever done in a movie. Thanos, another great villain. Kang, great villain. Killmonger, great villain. Villains like those we have great on. Any of the Spider-Man main villains, like Mysterio or Vulture, great villains. We have great villains. In a world where we're able to get good main bads, we get stuck with Draco and Taskmaster as the villains. And I felt like that was... The Taskmaster could have been a good villain. I'll get to Taskmaster in a minute. But Draco felt like they just needed another military billionaire villain again. Which is fine if you're able to tell those storylines good. But clearly in this movie, Draco was not... They did not know what to do with him. Because I feel like he was not scary at all. He was pretty boring, if you ask me. And to me, a movie is only as good as its villain. Look at Star Wars, for instance. Darth Vader and the Emperor are two of the greatest villains of all movie history. And let's compare Marvel. In my opinion, what makes Infinity War is Thanos. The directors have literally said, or I think I've heard this, that Infinity War is more of Thanos' movie than anyone's, because you had to focus on Thanos. You had to do that development. Same with, obviously, Thanos as the biggest one, but let's compare, for instance, Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan is a great actor. And I don't know the guy who played Draco. I don't know how well he did. But Killmonger, another great villain. Loki, obviously. He got his own TV show for being so good. We got villains like that. And honestly, I kind of feel like the movie would have been just as good with just touching on, Black Widow being hunted by the government. I feel like that could have been an interesting movie too. Just saying. I feel like this was me mapping out the trilogy, what I would have done was this movie and introducing Yelena would have been my first two movies. And then the third movie, I would have had Black Widow on the run from the government. Or maybe the second movie, Black Widow on the run from the government. And the third, destroying the Red Room. There, you have your trilogy. But they didn't go with that. But my big problem is, Draco is a boring villain. He is not very interesting any moment. And I feel like he's just slow. He's not very interesting. Next, Taskmaster. Since Taskmaster has no lines, I am literally going off of, I'm looking at Taskmaster and I'm like, you only have one line in the movie. And so that twist of Taskmaster as a woman is poor in my opinion. It's a weak twist because the stunts aren't done by a woman, for one. Which, there's woman stunt double. So, it would have been better if they got a female person to do those stunts. I think it's silly they didn't, if you ask me. And like, in my opinion, if you will, I would have given this role to a stunt actor, is what I look at. Because when you look at the movie, it's like Taskmaster, if you were only going to do him as a mute, basically, for the whole entire movie, you should have given it to a stunt actor. Somebody who does their own stunts. And I don't know if this lady does her own stunts, don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, Taskmaster should have had his own stunts. And my other problem with the twist is, since she doesn't talk at all and there's no development, she's just a knockoff version of Ghost. And I didn't mind Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't think Ghost is perfect, but I don't mind her. I feel like Ghost was done better. And they even went with father-daughter storyline with it. Granted, Draco is a much worse person than Goliath. Or, whatever his name is in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But, because clearly Ghost's dad did care about her, whereas Draco didn't care about his daughter. But still, I feel like it weakens that storyline. Because you have a daughter of a villain who is also a villain. Like, for one, I hate them doing these villains for hires as good guys now. Like Ghost and Taskmaster. Because in my opinion, they're villains for hires. They're bounty hunters. Do them as a villain. They are killers. I hated it with Ghost when they gave her redemption. And I hated it with Taskmaster. They are villains, so tell their story as a villain. I want to see them do evil stuff. Don't give them a redemption arc. Taskmaster's, don't get me wrong, he's not like the biggest villain in the world. He's not even probably C-level villain. But he's still a good villain if you know who he is. He provides good action scenes in the comics, and he's very interesting. And I wouldn't even cared if it was a girl Taskmaster or a dude. I just wish they would have done it as a stunt double if it was a mute character, because I feel like he would have been more interesting if you did that instead. Also, I thought, like, basically I was disappointed with Taskmaster, and that's a huge downgrade for me. Same with Draco, because villains are a huge part, and they're your main storyline. I also felt like the flashback scenes were kind of slow, and not needed as much as they were. I didn't mind the first one, but then they had those weird, complicated ones afterwards, which I understand. You touch on, like, you're developing the Red Room stuff. But I'm like, we already knew the Red Room. We've heard of it from Age of Ultron. So we didn't need those scenes. Let's be honest. You're not, like, Black Widow could have gone without those flashback scenes. I also felt like that random dude who was in the movie, who I viewed as a love interest, even if he is, he's just a friend of Black Widow's. He could have been tossed out for an Avenger. Or someone like Happy, who would have been more interesting. Like, bring on a Marvel character who could have been more interesting. Because let's be honest, this dude is never coming back unless they do another Black Widow movie. He will never be in another Marvel movie. He has no connections to any Marvel movies. Not against the actor. I'm just like, he is pointless for the storyline. And you could have given this role to a Marvel actor who has a better relationship with Black Widow. Like a Marvel character. Also, I feel like it's kind of, like, those scenes could have been tossed out for the most part. I feel like the main plot takes too long to get to as well. And that's a big, like, downgrade to me. But I'd say those are my negatives. So if I had to rank the movie from 1 to 10, I would probably say a 6. A 6. It was not interesting. It went on for way too long and doesn't have enough development for it to be a 7 in my opinion. And the villains are a huge downgrade to me. There's 2 villains who, like, I view Taskmaster should have been the leader of the Red Room, honestly. But they didn't go with that. And I feel like Draco is kind of a boring villain. Just saying. And in my opinion, Taskmaster should have been the main villain. And then the Widows should have been the side villain. That's what I would have done. But I feel like that's a huge downgrade for me. So I say that knocks it down a peg or 2. And then just the useless scenes in the movie. I feel like those aren't needed. But yeah. And I'm going to talk about the end credit scene now. So I've given you my review, ranking, and everything. So if you have watched everything all the way through, and the one scene you do not want to hear is the end credit scene, click off now. So, end credit scene. I actually enjoyed the end credit scene because it sets up the next phase of Marvel on the street side. Because I have a series there's going to be a cosmic side and a street side, and a bunch of other people are thinking this too. So I'm kind of excited for it, because I'm thinking my big series, this leads up to Thunderbolts. Yes, it sets up Hawkeye and in the end credit scene, but if you watch the end credit scene, the same lady who is talking to Florence Pugh is the same lady who is talking to U.S. Agent John Walker. I don't know that actor's name, so I'm not going to call him the same character. So my theory, and seeing as Thunderbolt Ross is in the movie, they're going with the Thunderbolt storyline. If you want me talking about that video, just leave a comment or explain how it leads up to a roster I could give for it. I'll talk about that. But yeah, I'd recommend seeing it if you're a Marvel fan. But if you're just looking for something to keep for a movie, I wouldn't say Black Widow is your best movie out there. But yeah, that's my review. I'd say it's about 6 for me on ranking wise. I wouldn't say it's the best Marvel movie in the world, but I wouldn't say it's a bad movie either. But yeah, that's my review. I'm gonna hopefully post 2 videos this week. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And catch you on the flip side. Bye.